Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape in a major story. President-elect Muhammadu Buhari visits UK's Prime Minister at the Downing Street ahead May 29 inauguration. Also in this program, Minister of Finance and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala refutes claims of $63 billion debt profile as alleged by the APC. And all Progressive Congress senators elect divided over preferred Senate leader of the 8th National Assembly.
As the political storm continues in another state, and the fate of many yet to be determined, only time will tell whose side victory falls.
And police in Akita State rescued 11 Akita kidnapping victims. And outside Nigeria, Ireland votes to legalize same-marriage sex, say gay rights. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Defense Headquarters says scores of Boko Haram terrorists had died and 20 women and children had been rescued during a military operation in Sambisa Forest in Borno State on Friday. This is contained in a statement by the Director of Defense Information, Chris Olukolade. According to the statement, over 10 soldiers were, however, wounded, while one died following explosions of landmines along the routes of advance. He says some equipments were also damaged or affected by detonation of landmines in several points in the forest. Olukolade added a total of 20 women and children were rescued at the end of the Friday operation. They have all been airlifted out of the forest. End of quote. He explained that an armor tank and over 10 vehicles of various types being used for terrorist operations, as well as 70 motorcycles and 15 tricycles, had also perished during the operation. The defense spokesman said air and artillery bombardment of identified terrorist camps and locations in various parts of the forest, including the Alafa aspect, were still ongoing as troops continue the offensive against the terrorists. Olukolade added that a cordon and search operation around Beta Borno State had been intensified following an incident where 2 young boys were wounded after picking up a grenade from a refuse dump. Nigeria's President-elect Muhammadu Buhari has held talks with a British Prime Minister David Cameron at his official residence at 10 Downing Street, London. It was gathered that Buhari and Cameron discussed the threat posed by militant group Boko Haram ahead of the inauguration of the president-elect on May 29, among other issues. A statement released by the spokesperson of Downing Street on the official website of the UK government noted that the Prime Minister welcomed President-elect Buhari of Nigeria to Downing Street this morning. Both leaders congratulated each other on the recent election victories and discussed the challenges. Buhari on Friday, May 22, left the country for Britain on a private visit. It is his first such trip outside the country since winning the March 28 presidential election. A statement issued in Abuja on Friday by the head of the media team of the president-elect, Garba Shehu, said General Buhari will use the opportunity of the visit to take a much-deserved rest ahead of his inauguration on Friday. And senators-elect on the platform of the All Progressives Congress are divided on who to back for the Senate presidency. The federal lawmakers-elect will converge in Abuja for a two-day retreat, openly express their support for two of their colleagues who have expressed interest in the position. Speaking on the sidelines of the event, a group of senators-elect endorsed Ahmad Lawan Yobe for the Senate presidency, but soon after another group announced Bukola Saraki of Kwara Central as their preferred candidate.
Comprising senators-elect from various states and various zones of Nigeria have met, had extensive discussions, and resolved to support Senator Ahmed Lawan as Senate President and Senator George Akume as Deputy Senate President for the 8th Senate. Kindly take this to be our collective decision in the best interest of our party, the All Progressives Congress, and our dear country, Nigeria. Thank you, and may God bless you. It is my honor.
Hold on 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute.
It is my honor and privilege to therefore assure you, the two gentlemen, Ahmed Lawan on my right and Senator Akume on my left. Here they are. We are here to demonstrate that democracy will continue to be a game of numbers. Resolution of the adoption of Senator Abubakar Bukola Saraki by 35 like-minded senators of the APC out of 59 as the sole candidate for the office of the Senate President of the 8th Senate. Senators of the like minds are here today at the retreat organized by our dear party, All Progressives Congress, which is meant to equip and empower senators-elect of the 8th Assembly to prepare them towards the challenges ahead. We commend the leadership of our party for this timely and well-focused exercise.
Meanwhile, 35 APC senators-elect have dissociated themselves from an earlier endorsement of Ahmad Lawan for the Senate presidency. The senators said through their spokesman, Dino Melaye, that they are not in support of the resolve by a group of APC senators to back the Yobe North as senator. They insist that they are fully in support of Bukola Saraki for the position on merit. And now, Audu Ogbe, a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress, has urged the senators-elect in the APC not to condone acts of corruption, but to assist the incoming administration in blocking leakages in the system. Ogbe made this call at a retreat organized for the newly elected senators of the APC as he advised them to ensure that their relationship with the executives is not to the detriment of the masses who bear the brunt of bad leadership. The party's national chairman, John Oyegun, claims it will take over 228 years to repay the debts allegedly accumulated by the outgoing administration. Expectations from the incoming administration are high, and its legislators are not left out in this. Probably this informed the meeting among the leadership of the APC in what seemed like a moral reawakening. The leadership is seeking the cooperation of the senators-elect in dealing with acts of impunity set to have eaten deep into the system. It's less than a week to the inauguration of the incoming administration, and with the clamor for change in all sectors, it remains to be seen if the legislators will make good their promise and hit the ground running in the days ahead. And now Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has refuted claims that outgoing President Goodluck Jonathan's administration is leaving behind a backlog of debts to the tune of $63 billion. Okonjo-Iweala disclosed this while addressing journalists at the forum organized by finance correspondent in Abuja, the nation's capital. She explained that the amount was the total debt profile the nation owed between 1960 to date, while noting that President Jonathan's administration has the lowest debt profile in the nation's history. She added that borrowed funds were used to stimulate growth in critical sectors, which include the rail, agriculture, and power sectors. The APC National Chairman, John Oyegun, had lamented during a retreat organized for newly elected senators of the APC that it would take over 228 years to repay Nigeria's debt, which they said was accumulated by the outgoing administration. The finance minister pointed out that the outgoing administration has done measurably well in maintaining low inflation rate, building road networks, and improving agricultural productivity, among other accomplishments. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. After the break, men of Nigeria Drug Law Enforcement Agency laid siege to the home of Ogun Senator-elect Buruji Kashamu. We'll bring you details after this time out. Join us again.
Women share the most amazing thoughts on national issues, and they do it passionately.
For most men that are educated, that are exposed, will see nothing to it.
The population and the level of poverty made me cry. No infrastructural development whatsoever. And you tell me Lagos is working?
That was an accident, and it was a one-off thing. Other than that, there has never been any situation in Nigeria where a Nigerian attacked anybody just because of where they came from.
Sharing the adorable word of women in politics every week, only on CoreTV News.
If you just joined us, this is CoreTV Primetime News, live from our Lagos studios. A quick reminder of our top stories now. President-elect Muhammadu Buhari visits UK's Prime Minister at the Downing Street ahead May 29 inauguration. Minister of Finance and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala refute claims of $63 billion debt profile as alleged by the APC. All Progressive Congress senators elect divided over preferred Senate leader of the National Assembly.
Political storm continues in another state, and the fate of many yet to be determined. Only time will tell whose side.
All our top stories can be found on our social media platforms like our Facebook page, is facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. For live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. Now, latest reports say the embattled businessman and People's Democratic Party senator-elect from Ogun State, Buruji Kashamu, may soon be in the net of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency over a report that he is wanted in the United States to face drug-related charges. Spokesman for the NDLEA, Michelle Foyeju, in an interview with correspondents, says that he was on his way to the office but declined further comment on the move of the agency to arrest and extradite the politician. It is linked that the Lekki Lagos home of Kashamu, a senator-elect representing Ogun East, was surrounded on Saturday morning by operatives of the anti-narcotic agency. In a reaction, media read to the Buruji Kashamu, Austin Oniyokoro, in a press release, flayed the actions of the NDLEA as illegal. His statement reads, and I quote, illegal invasion of the Lekki Phase 1 Lagos residence of Senator-elect Buruji Kashamu, my operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, and abducting, and I'm again constrained to alert all well-meaning Nigerians, the international community and the human rights community to the illegality or illegality of the act, end of quote. In a reaction, enforcement agency says in again constrained to elect well many Nigerians in what he says was a force. And following the siege of the Lekki residents of Ogun, Senator-elect Buruji Kashamu, Ekiti State Governor Audeli Fauci has denied statements being credited to him on the travail of Buruji Kashamu in the hands of men of the NDLEA, saying he never made any such statement. Fauci denied this allegation in a statement issued by his special assistant on public communications and new media, Larry Olayinka, saying the comment must have been generated by desperate political spin doctors to link him with what he knew nothing about. The statement read, and I quote, "Kindly disregard any press statements being circulated that I made on Prince Buruji Kashamu today. I have not made any press statement on the travail of Buruji Kashamu today, both on Twitter and Facebook or any social media platform." Obviously, the comment being referred to was generated by desperate political spin doctors with ulterior motives, and their motive must be to drag me into what does not concern me as a governor. End of quote. And for all intent and purpose, the issue relating to Prince Buruji Kashamu is not political, and as a governor does not have anything to do with it. A breakthrough has finally come the way of Ekiti people with the rescue of 11 kidnapped victims and the discovery of the kidnappers' den at Isuru Ekiti in Irekpodu, fellow the local government area of the state. The State Police Command confirms the rescue, which was carried out by the town's vigilante group, while operation is still on to apprehend the suspect. Our correspondent Rashid tells us more.
The hitherto sleepy town of Isuru Ekiti has suddenly become a mecca of a sort, no thanks to the discovery of the kidnappers' den, which has been on rampage for a while in Ekiti. The success recorded by the vigilante group and the police brought the rescue of the kidnapped victims.
Started an operation yesterday night, in fact in the morning yesterday, continuation, with the great help of the Isuru and his people here. And that's why we are saying that community policing is one of the best ways to go, and the result is what we are witnessing today. All the kidnapped victims have been rescued, and that's what we are doing, and we are combing. The operation is still continuing for us to get the suspects.
So the local vigilantes started working since last week, and when we got some clue about a few days ago, we now sent to the government, we sent to Kabiyesi that we now need the soldiers and the police on ground. And we thank God, the Commissioner of Police being a new officer, the Chief Security Officer of the state now is very active. So immediately he drafted his men to our community here. Among
the rescued was Shadi Alade, lecturer at the Ekiti State University, Femi Omishore of Obafemi Awolowo University, Margaret Aladinika, a nurse at the Federal Teaching Hospital Ido Ekiti, as efforts are ongoing to arrest the suspected kidnappers.
30 minutes after, a woman ran from the farm to my palace. The Kabiyesi saw 7 of them, the suspect, with different weapons, that he recognized someone among the suspects, and he mentioned that boy that I just mentioned there, that he was among the suspects. So thank God his wife has been arrested yesterday.
The kidnappers' hideout, a forest in the town, had been condemned by the police in search of the suspects. Residents, however, said the vigilantes should be given the chance to finish the job they started. Though the kidnapped victims might have been rescued, that the suspects are still on the prowl is another fear, even as more questions are begging for answers as we await the unfolding of events behind this heinous crime against the society. Rashid, CoreTV News, Isuru Ekiti.
Meanwhile, the Ekiti State Governor, Ayodele Fauci, while receiving some of the kidnapped victims, applauds the effort of the police and Ekiti resident. He therefore calls for all hands in fighting crime in the state.
The madam on my right, on my left is from Elisha, but she lives in Ibadan. And the prof is from Ife. It's popular enough for everybody to know. It's from Ishori. And Mrs. Abiola. So, we want to equally commend the security agencies, particularly the CP, the Director of SSS, and all other heads of security agencies here in Well, we have to thank God that they are back with us alive. Because life, it's all about life. It's all about life. And we thank God that they are here. In and active. Some of them are weak, sick, the experience is another story entirely. But whatever the story, they are alive. That gladdens our hearts. And the whole story is for another day.
The police authorities have confirmed that 10 persons have been rescued from kidnappers in Akita State. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu said in a statement that the hostages were rescued through a special operation ordered by Inspector General of Police Solomon Arashi. He noted that the operation is still on while disclosing that some of the kidnappers have been arrested. The police spokesman added that the victims are being debriefed and are also receiving medical attention. Well, from there now, the resignation of the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party has not come to many as a surprise, as many political observers have the opinion he should have done this honorably before now, immediately after the party's defeat to the APC. Our correspondent Olajumoke Olatuji takes a look at the ongoing crisis within the party and the implications ahead 2019.
The People's Democratic Party, having ruled the country since the takeover and democratic dispensation in 1999, with Olusegun Obasanjo taking the lead as president under the platform of the PDP for 8 years. After him was the late Musa Yar'Adua, who ruled for 2 years before his demise, and the outgoing president Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, ruling the country for 6 years. With PDP's oft-stated resolve to rule for 60 years becoming a mirage, with a massive electoral defeat to the umbrella opposition party, the All Progressives Congress. Not only did the party suffer defeats at the federal level, it also lost most of the states under its control. This has understandably led to some recriminations within the fold. But just as many celebrated the party's defeats due to what many termed as a failure in leadership. But could the PDP have managed this defeat better?
PDP as a political party found itself in a very unusual terrain of being in the opposition. And if you look at what people in government enjoy, it will be something like a heartache when you realize that all these things have slipped up your hands. And perhaps some of the things we are hearing, especially after the elections, would not have really been issues if actually they had won the elections. It would have been almost impossible for Alhaji Adamu Muazu to remain as the national chairman of the political party, of PDP.
Something that has held PDP together is the national treasury. And that's what has sustained PDP for the past 16 years. And that's why it will be difficult for PDP to recover from this. Now, that is why I had to give it to persons like that, Shiwaju, that's Bola Tinubu. When in 2003 he was the only man standing in terms of the progressive camp. Only Lagos was standing. General Obasanjo's machinery swept through all the, even the southwestern states where the progressive held sway. But Bola Tinubu was able to stand and galvanize the people and brought back a formidable position that has been able now to win election at the center, which was unthinkable of. Now PDP, and that's also one disadvantage of the PDP. They always claim that their party is owned by nobody. There is no godfather of the party. The party is owned by everybody. Now everybody's goat will always be hungry in the village.
The resignation of the national chairman of the party, Adamu Muazu, and its board of trustees, Tony Aneni, came as a consequence of crisis in the party. But many observers say he should have done this earlier.
They still have men and women. They still have formidable character. If they will put away their greed, look, there's nothing wrong in failing an election, okay? But when you fail and you take responsibility, right now what they're doing is blame game. Because in the first instance, they do not have any ideological position to take that election. They were only banking on the ignorance of the people. But they never know that the taste and the ignorance of the people and the ideas of the people have changed.
The PDP has been immersed in crisis since losing the presidential election, which held March 28th, having lost most of the states, especially in the north, to the APC. And the APC having the majority seats in the two chambers of the National Assembly, Time will tell what will happen to the former ruling party in opposition. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And now, over 100 primary school teachers in Benin City, the Edo State capital, stormed the state secretariat in protest to demand their 2-month arrears owed them in November and December 2013. The aggrieved teachers said their arrears was as a result of transfer of about 318 of them from one local government to the other, but were not paid, including all their allowances. Some of them who spoke to newsmen complained of the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Lucky James, and the barrister Lucy Omagmo, chairperson of Ovia Northeast Local Government Area, of trying to play a fast one on them by removing some of their names from those expected to be paid. The report. The protesting teachers in their huge numbers apprehensive of what to expect in a solidarity song call on Governor Adams Oshiomhole to weigh in with a view to call to order the Commissioner of Local Government and the chairperson of Ovia Northeast Local Government Council. The teachers had observed that their names were not on the list of those to be paid, while others complained of suspension slam on them without reason.
Lucy Omagbo was elected, and when she came in, she went around schools to see that she said she wanted to know her teachers. And she came. Then I was at Onwena Primary School. I had 39 pupils in the class, and she screened me, she saw me, and she left. Only after 3 days, they brought a suspension letter that we were suspended without pay for no just cause.
The major problem now is other those teachers, they cannot find their names on their list, on the list. Even most of the teachers from Ovia Northeast, their names are not also on the list.
The Commissioner for Local Government and the Chieftaincy Affairs, Lucky James, while responding, debunked the allegation as unfounded, saying that teachers were screened. More than 200 authentic teachers were shortlisted, saying those who did not make the list will undergo another verification exercise to ascertain their true identity.
We have approached the ICT to even pay them, but it because of all that, maybe some other persons who are not even supposed to earn that money will go and earn the money. That's what we are doing.
Barrister Lucy Omagbo, the chairperson of Ovia Northeast Local Government Council, alleged to be the arrow, said teachers who did not see their names on the list were those found wanting during the screening, most of whom had issues. She, however, said they would not be paid. Others who saw their names are expected to be paid their 2-month arrears in 8 installments, as they are made to sign documents necessary to pay them. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. When the news return after this break, it will be business and sports. Join us then.
Every day of the week will bring to you divergent views on news making the headline.
If people who commit crime are being rewarded with national honors, with national appointments, then where are we going in this country?
It's not about whether it was Jonathan or whether you are going to have a Buhari. It's the kind of political structure we run.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
We are talking about a Buhari who at 41 became head of state. The man did not exhibit the attribute of somebody that is strong intellectually.
So, comrade, you're saying if you become governor, you're going to bring back Okada?
Of course.
You will bring back the market women from the streets?
Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth.
On Core Digest, we bring all of this to the court of public opinion, where you are the judge.
And in business now, the central bank said on Friday, Nigeria sold 110.99 billion naira in treasury bills as lower yield across all tenors compared with previous sales on May 6. Meanwhile, Nigeria's interbank lending rate fell to an average of 8.5% on Friday from 14.25% last week, as funds from matured treasury bills offset the impact of the central bank's new cash reserves requirement. The central bank recalled about 140 billion naira in cash reserve ratio from the banking system on Thursday, about 199 91 billion naira in retired treasury bills was repaid, boosting liquidity in the market. The secured open buyback is to 8% from 14% last week, below the central bank's 13% benchmark rate. The overnight placement also fell to 9% against 14.5% last week. Yields are expected to drop in the weeks ahead as Nigeria seeks the full benefit of its addition to the JP Morgan government bonds index emerging markets, but the markets could remain volatile in the short term. JP Morgan estimates that the index inclusion could translate into at least 1.5 billion US dollars inflows into Nigeria's bond market. On Thursday, the June 2019 bond rose by up to 21 basis points to 13.31%. It closed at the same level on Friday. The April 2017 bond closed at 13.67% on Friday compared to 13.32% a week ago. Yields fell around 300 basis points after JP Morgan announced the inclusion on August 14. Equities for the week had a turnover of 2.94 billion shares worth 16.045 billion in 21,306 deals traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange, as compared to a total of 1.626 billion shares valued at 14.426 billion naira that exchanged hands last week in 20,124 deals. The financial services industry led the activities charged with 2,624 billion shares valued at 8.189 billion traded in 11,601 deals, thus contributing 89.14 and 51.04% to the total equity turnover, volume and value respectively. The consumer industry followed with a turnover of 82.64 million shares worth of 4.75 billion in 3,753 deals. The third place was occupied by the conglomerate industry with 73.96 million shares worth 365 millions in 980 deals. However, the top three equities are Lasako Insurance, United Bank of Africa, and also Sky Bank. And now Greek registrator Market Frigolas has agreed to sell its glass business to Nigerian Albanian can producer GZ Industry for $225 billion in an effort to cut debt and focus on its cooler business. The company said it has agreed to divest all its glasses container operations in Nigeria and Dubai, and the complementary plastic rates and metal crowns businesses in Nigeria to GZI Mauritius, the holding company of GZ Industry, have said so. And U.S. regulators hit top global banks with $5.4 billion in penalties Wednesday for trying to rig foreign currency markets in their favor. Citigroup, Barclays, JP Morgan Chase, and Royal Bank of Scotland were fined more than $2.5 billion by the U.S. after pleading guilty to conspiring to manipulate the price of dollars and euros. The four banks plus UBS have also been fined $1.6 billion by the Federal Reserve, and Barclays will pay regulators another $1.3 billion to settle related claims. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch said bankers conspire to enrich themselves at the expense of countless consumers.
Starting as early as 2007, currency traders at several multinational banks formed a group that they dubbed the cartel. Almost every day, for more than 5 years, traders in this cartel used a private.
We'll take another break now. It will be time for sport and stories outside Nigeria. Join us again.
Our style, that's what he delivered. Usain Bolt storming through, he
And now the stage is set for the 20th edition of the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, with all the participating teams submitting their finalists for the championship. With an average age of just 18.9 years, Nigeria are for the first time ever taking the youngest panel of players to the championship, in which they have twice contested the final. Owing to their exploit at the African Youth Championship, where they emerged as champions, Coach Manu Garba has kept faith in majority of the players who won the World Under-17 Championship in United Arab Emirates, with Kelechi Iheanacho, Musa Mohammed and goal machine Taiwo Awoniyi leading the pack. Ayimba Kingsley Sokari is their oldest player at 20 years and 1 day, while Hazaruddin Bello is Nigeria's youngest representative at 17 years, 5 months. Germany, on the other hand, have the oldest squad with an average age of 19.9 years. Just ahead of Portugal, Ukraine and Korea DPR. Bayern Leverkusen 19-year-old forward Julian Brandt is the Europeans' youngest player, and a group containing a total of 19 players who are 20 or over. Senegal's Moussa Wago, 16 years, 7 months, is the youngest of all 504 players at the competition. Having been born in October 1998, he is just a month older than Ghana's Kingsley Fobi. At the other end of the scale, Argentina's 20 years, 5 month forward Alejandro Romero is the oldest player in the competition. Former Nigeria under-20 striker Olarewaju Kayode has signed a 4-year contract with Austria Wien and completed medicals on Saturday. The contract was signed on May 17, subject to medicals which have finally been deemed successful. Agent Dudu Dahan tweeted a photo of the player undergoing medicals on Thursday, and the club has now confirmed on its website that it was a successful one. This move sees Kayode and he stayed with Israeli side Maccabi Netanya after 2 seasons. He scored 13 goals in 31 matches as Netanya finished 3rd in the league. The 22-year-old is expected to strengthen the 104-year-old Stravena as they chase a 25th title next season, following their draw since 2013 with Zalborg on the verge of a second straight title. After the summer break, Kayode is expected back in the Vienna's pre-season camp on June 22. The Badabon striker is expected to move with his wife's son and mother to his new base. World number 2 Roger Federer will start his French Open campaign on Sunday against Colombia's Alejandro Fala. The Swiss 33 playing in his 62nd successful Grand Slam opens the men's singles on day 1 at Roland Garros. Federer's compatriots an 8-seed stand when Rirakis face Turkey's Marcel, while Japan's 5th seed Kei Nishikori plays Paul-Henri Mathieu. Romanian Simone Halep opens the women's singles with Russia's Evgenia Rodina, and 7th seed Anna Ivanovic, the 2008 French Open winner, faces world number 65 Yaroslava Shvedova of Kazakhstan. Britain's Andy Murray will begin his tournament against Argentina qualifier Fadunco Aguero on Monday. Federer cannot meet Murray, Spaniard Rafael Nadal on top seed, and world number 1 Novak Djokovic on the final, as they are all in other half of the draw. He suffered losses to each of them at the semi-final stages in Grand Slam during 2013 and 2014. And outside Nigeria now, in the first ever national referendum to decide the fate of gay marriage, Republic of Ireland voters have decided in favor of moves to legalize gay marriage in the country. No fewer than 3,000 or 3.2 million and 300,000 people were asked whether they wanted to amend the country's constitution to allow gay and lesbian couples to marry. Government ministers have said they believe it will pass, while the antagonists have conceded defeat. Counting started at about 9 a.m. Peru has declared a state of emergency in the country's south after a fourth person was killed in a demonstration opposing a copper mining project. Cabinet Chief Pedro Cateriano said a 60-day emergency will take effect in the Tambo area. We're being ordered into the street to support more than 2,000 police. The suspended right will include freedom of assembly, freedom of movement and protection warrantless searches. The move, which he says means the military will take charge of security in the province of Islay, came after clashes between protesters and the police left a 55-year-old demonstrator dead and 4 others injured. Protests have escalated since farmers mounted resistance 2 months ago to the $1.4 million project owned by Southern Copper, a subsidiary of Grupo Mexico. Backed by local mayors, residents of the 40,000 population valley feared the open pit mine will pollute their water and contaminate their crops. And desalinated water from the nearby Pacific Ocean and processing and pipe it back to the sea. Peru, which has significant mineral wealth, is the 3rd largest copper producer, and 62% of its export revenues come from mining. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We brought you an earlier story on the issues of NDLEA surrounding the Lekki resident of the senator-elect talking about Burji Kashamu, which report says probably has been picked up. We now have online from Lagos now is media aide to Ogun. Is Senator-elect Prince Burji Kashamu in person of Austin Onikoyoma. Hello. Hello, Austin. Hello, Austin. Hello, Austin. Austin joins us now live from via phone from Lagos now. Please, could you tell us exactly what is the situation of the report we heard earlier that the senator-elect has been picked? Please tell us exactly what exactly is the situation right now. Hello? Hello? I guess we're having problem with, getting feedback from Austin Onikoya, media aide to Burji Kashamu there. But we do apologize that, of course, in our subsequent bulletin, we'll bring you live exactly what is the situation of the senator-elect in Ogun State, talking about Prince Burji Kashamu. But just before we go tonight, a quick recap of our major headline. We told you that the President-elect Muhammadu Buhari visits UK's Prime Minister at the Downing Street ahead May 29 inauguration. Minister of Finance and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala refutes claims of $63 billion debt profile as alleged by the APC. We also brought to you that the All Progressive Congress senators-elect divided over preferred Senate leader of the 8th National Assembly. Well, and that's it tonight. Many thanks for watching. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Frank Omalape. Have a good night rest.